What's happening, people? Good morning, America. Good afternoon, Europe, and welcome everyone to our live stream. We are proud to announce our new daily broadcast streamed live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch TV, proudly sponsored by our partners at forexandmarkets.com. Join us every day on your favorite media channel, learn how investments work, win a prize every day, and find out what most Forex brokers don't want you to know. Starting next week, we are launching a new talk show called Show Me the Money, where each and every one of you could win great prizes just by attending our live streams and answering a few simple questions about online trading and investments. Have you ever wondered what would you do if you have the opportunity to have a one-on-one meeting with the CEO of a famous Forex brokerage or a famous market analyst from London? What would you ask them? Well, wonder no more. Join our daily streams and find out. And to sweeten the deal even more, you could win fantastic prizes every day. iPads, one-on-one mentoring from industry specialists, cash prizes, and much more. You can find the links in the description down below, guys. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, and support us in delivering more great content. Once again, good morning, America, and welcome everyone to the U.S. markets opening. It's finally happening. America votes today. What a week, and what a day, guys. Memorable day for America and a memorable day for InstructFX, broadcasting live for the first time the U.S. elections 2020. Big day in the markets today. U.S. futures are set for higher opening. Dow Jones was up over 400 points pre-U.S. opening. Crude oil was up $2. European currencies also pushed higher throughout the day, leaving the USD behind. Big day on the markets. Let's have a quick look at the charts, guys, and see what happened today. And then we welcome the man, the legend, straight from the heart of London, guys, Neil Wilson, Chief Market Analyst at markets.com. Right, now, getting started. We're going to have a look at top 5 things to know in the markets today, guys. And in a few minutes, Neil will join us, and we're going to get the pulse of the markets together. Stay tuned, guys. I have a lot of questions for Neil. He has a lot of answers, a lot of insights from the markets. You don't want to miss this. So let's have a quick look at top 5 things to know in the markets today, guys. The U.S. heads to the polls while speculation on the blue sweep and big quick stimulus package propels stock futures and oil higher. Australia cuts rates and starts quantitative easing 2 days ahead of meetings at the Fed and Bank of England. Jack Dorsey survives as Twitter CEO. Here's what you need to know in the markets today. Number 1 on the board, guys, election day, no doubt about it. The U.S. goes to the polls to elect a new president. 35 senators and 435 congressmen and women in the House of Representatives. Opinion polls still appear to indicate a blue sweep that would give the left leaning Democratic Party control of the White House and both chambers of the legislature. However, a repeat of 2016 in which actual voting results defied similar polls is still easily possible. Because of the different rules applied by each state as regards the counting and processing of ballots, it is quite possible that the winner of the presidential election will not be known by tomorrow morning. Not least since the incumbent has consistently ruled out conceding and has claimed that the only electoral fraud can stop him winning. However, 2 key swings states of North Carolina and Florida are likely to report this evening, and their results will give a strong indication on the trend. Number 2 on the board, guys, we saw fantastic performance on the Aussie dollar today. We're going to move on to the charts in a minute. The Reserve Bank of Australia reminded world markets that central banks haven't run out of ammunition quite yet, cutting its key rate to 0.1% from the 0.25%. The Royal Bank of Australia also announced its first ever quantitative easing program with an overall size of 100 billion Aussie dollars. The decisions were in line with expectation. After a wild ride, the Aussie is now pretty much where it was at the start of the year against the US dollar. By 6:30 a.m. Eastern time, it was trading at 0.7122, supported by a burst of dollar weakness across the board. The move came 2 days before the U.S. Federal Reserve and the Bank of England announced the results of their latest policy meetings. We're moving now to number 3 on the board. The U.S. stock markets are set to open sharply higher, supported by expectations of a blue sweep of Congress that would make it easier for the incoming administration to enact a major economic stimulus package with little delay. We saw the Dow futures up 400 points, give or take, or 1.5%, while the S&P futures were up 1.2%, and NASDAQ futures were up 0.7%. Again, underperforming as money rotates out of growth and momentum stocks into the cyclicals that have underperformed so badly this year. Right now, number 4 for stock traders, guys. If it matters for you today, another stock likely to come under the spotlight is Twitter, where CEO and founder Jack Dorsey survived pressure from activist investor Elliott Management to unseat him. A committee appointed by the board has recommended to keep the current management in place, the company said in a filing late Monday. Elliott's representative supported the recommendation. The decision comes less than a week after Twitter posted its slowest user growth in years, and on the eve of an event that is likely to lead to fresh scrutiny of its business model by the outside world. And last but not the least, guys, oil, guys, the black gold. Oil rebounds, API due. Oil prices finally found some support after plunging over the last week as participants shed some of their broader risk aversion and also to comfort from hints that major oil producers are slowly preparing to abandon a scheduled production increase. Russian oil minister Alexander Novak met with oil company representatives on Monday to discuss the matter, according to Russian news agencies, but there was little detail of the meeting's outcome. Elsewhere, Saudi Aramco, guys, reported a profit of $11.8 billion for the third quarter, up 75% from the previous 3 months, but still not enough to cover its dividend. If you remember, Saudi Aramco was supposed to be one of the biggest, or was one of the biggest and most noisiest IPOs out there. Okay, but it deflated as fast as it got inflated shortly after the listing. So, and they were advertising back then that they give massive dividends. Well, there you go, guys. Very difficult now to we have some comments probably from South Africa, as it's in Afrikaans and I can't really read the language, but feel free, guys, type your comments, interact with us. That is the whole point of these webcasts. Right, so Saudi Aramco, was saying they're going to give huge dividends, and there you go, guys. In the third quarter, even though they had a profit of $11.8 billion, still they did not manage to cover the dividends. Now, U.S. crude futures were up 3.5% at $38.08 a barrel, while Brent futures were up 3.2% at $40.22 a barrel. The American Petroleum Institute weekly inventories estimate is due at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. Now, let's have a quick look at the charts, guys, as Neil Wilson is joining us. He's going to be joining us in a few minutes. Right, we're going to start with crude oil to see the amazing performance the markets had today, guys. We're looking at crude oil currently trading at $38.16, settling above the 200 moving average, and the 50 moving average is following from below. Who knows? Maybe we're going to see a gold cross form then. That's going to push oil prices, who knows, $39, maybe $40 per barrel in the next 24 hours. Today, fantastic performance for the European currencies, guys. The euro and the pound, they both managed to not only test the 200 moving average, but the pound actually moved on top of the 200 moving average, aiming higher, probably aiming for the 130.70 level. Okay, and the euro, which is currently trading at 117.18, as you see on the charts, guys, is testing the 200 moving average. The RSI and the stochastic way in the over, but it doesn't really matter now. The technical indicators tend to be almost useless when the volatility on the markets is as high as today, with an event as expected as the one today. The pound, guys, is back to 130. Great performance for the pound. USD JPY currently trading at 104.61. We saw it dropping and retesting and moving below the 200 moving average, with a lot of pressure on the markets from U.S. elections. The Aussie dollar that I was telling you about, again, superb performance for the Aussie dollar today. Amazing performance, which is currently trading at 0.7139. Apparently, it's aiming for the 0.7154. That's the most previous high, or somewhere in that region. We're looking at USD Canadian, which plunged today. It nosedived today, guys, as you can see on the charts. I'm just going to zoom out a bit. I'm on a 1 hour chart. Yes, so every green or red candlestick represents 1 hour. We see a death cross being formed by the 200 and the 50 moving average, which usually indicates a lot of selling power on the markets. Right. Okay. Neil Wilson just let us know that he's ready. We're going to contact him in a minute or two. No problem. We're going to go live with Neil Wilson in a minute, guys. Now, back to the USD Canadian. We see the US dollar pushing downwards. We might see it testing the 130.90 level, which is the previous low. S&P 500 opened higher after the opening bell. We can see it settling straight above the 50 moving average. The Dow Jones, the same. Very good opening for the Dow Jones, guys, as we see right now. Yeah, pushing higher and higher. It's probably targeting the 200 moving average as it opened straight away on top of the 50. So we're looking at potential take profits at 27.64422 or somewhere in that region if the markets continue like this today. The US dollar index, guys, again, is trading at 93.507. Big drop for the US dollar index today. Yeah, it moved below the 200 moving average. Let's see where it's going to settle. We still need a few hours to see where it's going to settle. If the volatility will be extreme today, probably traders will aim for the 93.23 level as the first take profit level. And if the downtrend continues, then they might probably aim for the 92.50, somewhere in that region. As I said, RSI stochastic, guys, in times like this tend to be quite not useful. We're moving to gold futures, which are trading finally above the 200 moving average and the psychological level at 1900. Now they're trading at the 1907.06, somewhere there shortly after the US opening. Probably we had some buying pending orders on the US dollar, and they pushed gold price slightly lower, but still great performance for gold, still up at 1907. Brent oil futures on a 60-minute chart. We see Brent oil currently trading at 40.15, 40.16 per barrel, and it's settling above the 200 moving average. Okay, again, we might see oil pushing higher, aiming for 43, 42. Who knows? Maybe the $44 mark. Who knows what this day will bring us? Silver futures, 24.33 for silver futures, again on an uptrend, settling above the 200 moving average and pushing higher, giving investors opportunities to set their take profits higher at 24.99 or somewhere in that region. And the Bitcoin is also feeling the pressure of the markets, guys. Bitcoin is currently trading at 13,684 on the dot. It's well settled above the 200 moving average, as you can see here. Okay, maybe we're gonna see it trading higher at 14,000 at some point tonight, yeah, or tomorrow morning. There is a probability. Only $300 away from the 14,000 level. This is what's happening with the markets today, guys. We are only a few hours from the official results of the voting. I'm gonna get Neil Wilson on the line for us today, guys. The man, the legend, straight from the heart of London. Neil Wilson, Chief Market Analyst at Markets.com. We're coming back live in 30 seconds with Neil Wilson, guys. Right, and we are back with Neil Wilson from the heart of London, the man, the legend, the chief analyst. How are you, Neil? Good afternoon.
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, how are you?
Quick one, the camera is upside down. Can you please adjust the camera so we see you?
Well, I'm not quite sure how to do that.
Why is the camera upside down?
Maybe it's...
Right, there. Okay, now we have Neil Wilson, guys. Yes. Let me bring you on the big screen so everyone sees you. There we go. There we go. Good afternoon, Neil. How are you today? How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Sorry for that.
No problem. It happens. It's a live broadcast, and always in live broadcasts, things like this happen, but we're handling it really well. What is the atmosphere on the trading floor today, Neil?
Well, it's looking, pretty upbeat at the moment. We're looking at the market rallying pretty healthily into the election day, and I think there's a lot of sort of a lot of positive sentiment out there after a pretty bad week last week. So, and just talking live broadcast, we could face an interruption today from my 2-year-old, but hopefully that won't happen.
No problem. This again happens on big televisions as well. This is the beauty of working from home. We have nothing to hide. Do you guys have any special features or special trading conditions today for the traders at markets.com?
Well, we have nothing exceptional, but we have our usual sort of lower spreads and so on. But we have warned obviously that there could be some margins increases going on in and around the election. So that is something to watch out for. So hopefully things won't get too stressed in the markets, but volatility is always what we're looking for.
Exactly. How much volatility is expected tonight, considering the candidates, Neil?
Yeah, I think we're looking quite a lot. The FX volatility in particular looked elevated. The sort of implied volatility overnight, sort of doubling on euro dollar and some of the other big crosses. So lots of FX volatility expected. In particular, likewise, I think indices are going to be pretty volatile as well.
Yeah, we saw a positive opening today on the US trading session. We saw the dollar tanking a bit today, which again is normal. There you go.
My junior analyst in the
junior analyst. You do like them young. You recruit them from kindergarten.
Yes.
Now we saw the European currencies performing exceptionally today. We saw the Aussie dollar going up through the roof. We saw a positive opening on the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones
today. Yeah, solid open today.
Yes, very good performance, and we saw the dollar tanking a bit. Yeah, the dollar index and the USD CAD.
Is definitely playing. It's helping. Risk on sort of moves today with weaker dollar. Yields up a touch, and stocks on doing well as well.
Right, quick one. Since the big day is here, US elections 2020, and I can't help myself not to ask you the question. What do you reckon, Donald Trump or Joe Biden?
Well, I have an inclination that Donald Trump might just do it. He might just have the votes in some of the key swing states to do it. But we'll see. I think obviously the polls are with Biden, but Donald Trump did it last time, and I think he might just manage it this time as well.
Yeah. All right. Now, yesterday, very important. Both candidates gave their best in a last effort to impress the public. We saw Donald Trump rallying in 5 cities and 4 states. I don't think even the most famous singers or rock bands can do that in one day.
He's got a lot of energy, that's for sure.
Yeah. Great effort for both candidates. Do you think that helped either one of them, or the American public already made up their mind in choosing the candidate?
Well, obviously a lot of the votes have already been cast as well. A significant number, maybe as much as 2/3, 3/4 have already been cast. So it might make a difference to get out the vote today, and it might encourage higher turnout today, which would be positive for Donald Trump, we think.
I'm with you. I want to ask you about the possible scenarios. How will the markets react in case Biden wins, and how will the markets react in case Donald Trump wins? It's all right.
Well, I think Biden victory is probably positive for risk.
Do you need a break? Do you want to take a few minutes and we're coming back?
Yeah, I think this junior in the company is
he's very excited. Yeah, he's very excited about the markets. I mean, there's a lot of volatility. Even the kids get excited. Let's take a few minutes and then we're coming back with Neil Wilson from the heart of London, guys.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I'll see you in a few minutes, Neil. Let me know when you're ready.
Thank you.
No problem.
Cheers.
Now, moving on. Let's take a very interesting article, guys, and see what else is happening. We had Neil Wilson and the little one live from the heart of London. Neil Wilson is coming back in a few minutes. Now, quick look. Election day. Let's see where we at. There. Right. So, U.S. stocks, are seen opening firmly higher. It already happened. We see U.S. President Donald Trump and Democratic rival Joe Biden casting their respective votes later as the highly continuous presidential election campaign comes to its climax. The latest polls still have Biden in a comfortable lead in national surveys, but the tally in all import swing states like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, where the electoral college margin could be decided, looks like being a lot closer. That said, investors appear to be betting on a Democratic sweep of the White House and Congress, which would likely result in a more stable political climate and, in all, probably a generous fiscal stimulus package. The same fiscal stimulus package that everyone is waiting for, the same stimulus fiscal package that sent the U.S. futures on the downtrend 2 weeks ahead the U.S. elections. Now, let's see what analysts at ING said about it. This is based on a 3.4 trillion stimulus proposed by House Democrats over the summer that would front-load support for household incomes and deliver relief for state and local government. Yes, very correct. No doubt about it. There's more to it. A new number of COVID-19 cases in the United States hit another record high last week, according to Reuters analysis. The number of new cases reported each week has risen to 4 straight weeks, with the biggest increases seen in the last 2 weeks. This sharp increase in COVID cases has already been seen in Europe, prompting many governments in the region to introduce new partial shutdowns in an attempt to halt the surge in the virus before the Christmas holiday season. Right. Right. Neil Wilson, let me see if Neil is ready. Fall is good. Right. Meanwhile, economic data releases Tuesday include the Johnson Red Book Index, ISM-NY business conditions, and September factory orders, but most eyes will be on the Federal Reserve meeting and the monthly employment report, which is the non-farm payroll, guys, which will be announced on Friday. Oil prices edged higher Tuesday, helped by talk the major oil producers will look rolling over oil output restrictions into 2021. Eyes will also be on the release of the API crude inventories for last week, released later today. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and allies, including Russia, are due to increase supply by 2 million barrels per day in January, but are now under pressure to push back this decision due to weak market conditions. It makes a lot of sense if we think about it. There's literally no point pushing more oil on already oversupplied markets and little to no demand. Right, let's get back Neil Wilson straight from London for a couple of minutes. And we take it from there. We're coming back live in 30 seconds. And we are back with Neil Wilson. Again, the camera is upside down. I don't know what's moving the camera. It's the election day. The pressure on the markets is felt on the laptops as well. There we go, guys. There we go. Let me bring Neil on the screen. There we go. Right. Neil Wilson, back from the heart of London. So the last question was, I wanted to ask you about the possible scenarios. How will the markets react in case Biden wins, and how will the markets react in case Donald Trump wins?
Well, so I think Donald Trump win is good for sort of status quo. So it's good for growth stocks. It's good for, probably means a stronger dollar, probably means more upside overall for the S&P 500 because you don't have that tax and regulatory uncertainty that would come with a Democrat clean sweep. But a Joe Biden and Democrat Congress would be positive in the sense that we get a massive amount of stimulus coming through. However, we could see some downside and a lot of volatility. I think that would mean a lot of volatility because threats to increase corporate taxation, capital gains tax. It could be backdated to January 2021, even if it came in much later in 2021. That would encourage some selling, perhaps, and that as investors sort of sought to liquidate their holdings in order to realise the gains that they've had, and that sort of pro-cyclical kind of stimulus that would come through, we think would probably be positive for value stocks over growth. So Donald Trump win, probably greater overall upside for the S&P 500, multiple expansion, good for growth stocks. Joe Biden, Democrat clean sweep, probably good for value and probably means slightly less upside for overall for the S&P 500, but you would nevertheless get that bump up from the stimulus.
I'm with you, but overall, we're going to see massive volatility going through the roof, probably, whichever the result will be.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because I don't think anyone's, although the polls are very clearly in favor of Joe Biden, it's not, you look at betting markets, you look at what people are talking about, you look at some of the private polling that's being done by the campaigns, it's not that clear cut at all. So I think the market's also liable to be swung by as the results come out. So a lot will depend on what votes are being extrapolated and exit polls and all these things that come out over the course of the evening. So we could get a poll or an exit poll or a result in one state which tells us one thing, and then half an hour later we get an indication of something else. So we do have to be very careful for these sort of moves, and lots of potential sort of head fakes in the market as people react, and algos of course react to headlines about certain states coming through. The one thing that we would say is that keep your eye on Florida, the results of which should come out not that long after midnight, we think. And essentially, if Donald Trump can't win Florida, it's very unlikely that he'll win the election. But if he does win Florida, then
we're going to have a close call.
It's positive for him then.
Yeah, right. Here's the big question. Do you think we will see a clear result tonight, or this might drag on and on and on for weeks to come? Because Donald Trump made it public many times that he's not willing to leave the White House, and probably he's going to dispute the result of the elections, as we saw some foreign agencies getting involved, according to sources. Are we going to see a long one, or we might get a result tonight?
I think there's probably a 70% chance of a result tonight, 30% chance that we don't get one. But I don't see this sort of drawn out battle into December. You've got that safe harbor day, December 8th, which is by which point you need to have your electoral college people in situ to place the votes. So it has to happen by then. That's the cutoff. And I think really maybe a few days as we try and get a couple of the states like Pennsylvania might take a couple of days extra to deliver their results, and that might mean a bit of uncertainty. We could get some, lawyers will be involved, but lawyers are always involved in these counts. There's often recounts. There's often sort of kind of disputed counts in certain counties, and I think that's to be expected. I think what we could get a few days of uncertainty if it's very close, if it comes down to one state, say Pennsylvania, and it takes a few days for that result to come through, then there's uncertainty, and the market won't like that. But it's not the same as the sort of crisis point disputed election where you end up with Donald Trump saying, I do not accept the result. I'm going to take all these votes, all these mail-in votes to the Supreme Court, and I'll take it as far in the Supreme Court as I choose to. And that would mean that sort of.
This is what I'm afraid of, because we all know Donald Trump, let's say 4 years at least, and that's Donald Trump. He never takes things as they are. Now, I have one last question for you, because I know you're going somewhere else. What would be your advice for retail traders today? How do you think traders should approach the markets, considering the volatility and everything?
So I'd say to be, if you've got open positions, you want to be monitoring them over the course of the night. There could be, because of the volatility, you could get stopped out, and through no real fault of your own. Directionally, you could be correct, but of course, with the volatility, you could see moves happening. So it's worth monitoring your positions. I think, obviously certain assets will be a lot more volatile than others, particularly, for example, some of the emerging market currencies like US dollar, Mexican peso, and dollar, Chinese yuan. These are sort of trades that they're very sensitive to the result, because if Donald Trump gets back in and he ups the trade ante again, goes after the tariffs and trade wars, compared to a Biden victory, which would be a complete reset on trade, those are sort of very volatile, likely to be very volatile. And as I've said, even in cable, the implied volatility overnight is shot up in the last 12 hours. So we are expecting some big moves in those crosses. So I think keep your eyes open and monitor your positions, and I guess try and keep drinking the coffee and stay up.
Now, two things I want to mention as we're talking about very, very sensitive markets today. Increase your margins, guys. Make sure you have enough margins, and be very, very careful with that very tight stop loss, because that might make the difference between a losing trade and a fantastic trade today. Fair enough, Neil?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we sent out a message to our clients this week explaining that margins are very important at the moment, and they could be liable to certain small changes depending on the volatility, and if markets could get. There's a potential for them to get very, very stressed. I don't think it's a sort of Brexit level event, but it's what it is not focused in one asset or one asset class. It's across the board. It's all assets. It's gold. It's rates. It's emerging market currencies, major currency crosses, all the major indices. Just about anything you can think of is affected by this result. So there will be an awful lot of trading going on, and an awful lot of a lot of volume and a lot of volatility.
Oh yeah, that's when this is when the big boys make money. Basically, we saw, talking about exotic currencies, we saw what happened this week with the Turkish lira and the Russian ruble, which nosedived, both of them. Big drops, and big gains for some people that went short on the right side of the trade.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, the Turkish lira new record low today, just keeps getting crushed. I don't think that the sort of spat between Turkey and France is doing it any favors, but there's also a lot of domestic kind of problems there with the economy. So it's there's definitely some bigger figure moves to be had in some of these emerging market currencies than in, say, your most liquid pairs, which might not be moving as much. So
exactly. Some of them might be priced in already. Everyone is trading the good old Euro USD, the cable, gold and oil, but not everyone looks towards the miners or the exotics, and they might find that one asset that's going to bring them, God knows, 1,000 pips in one day, and there's your lucky trade. Right. Neil, once again, Joe Biden or Donald Trump?
I think my gut is that Trump can do it. That is, I think he can. I think he'll win.
You think Donald Trump will get elected?
I'll put that out on the line, and you can timestamp it. I think he'll win. I think there's a couple of percentage points of people who will vote for him, but would never ever dream of admitting that they would vote for him.
Wow.
And I think that's fundamental to the case. And I think in the Rust Belt, in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and in Florida, with a lot of the Latino vote, I think that's going to be crucial. And I think he might just do it.
If he turns down the wall, probably the Latinos will love him more.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you're in favor, let's say, of Donald Trump, or you think Donald Trump will win the elections?
Yeah, I think it's very, very close. I mean, obviously, the polls show that Biden will, but I feel it's probably just going to tip maybe 51-49 in favor of Donald Trump.
I incline to think the same way. Let's see what the markets will do for us today. Right, Neil. Thank you ever so much for being with us today. Great pleasure to have you here. I'll talk to you after the U.S. elections and see who won.
Excellent.
Thank you ever so much for being with us today, Neil. Live from the heart of London, guys. Neil Wilson, chief market analyst at markets.com, in an amazing interview just a few hours before the US elections. We have a breaking news coming in. If you look at the bottom of the screen, guys, I don't know if you can see it. No, the breaking news disappeared. Bear with me for a second. No, the breaking news disappeared. The breaking news was that the markets did open indeed higher today, as predicted, and the Dow Jones and the S&P and the Nasdaq were doing great. Right, this is it from our side today, guys. In a memorable day for the markets, in a memorable day for InstructFX, we are broadcasting US elections for the first time in 2020. I'll come back tomorrow morning with more updates, guys. Until then, remember to trade responsibly and may all your trades be in the money.